All right, here we go. We're going to record the Weather Talk podcast coming up in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, this is Tony Pann along with Triple D, Dust Devil Dave over there.
Hi, everybody.
And this is the Weather Talk podcast. It's Wednesday. What is today? Wednesday, August the 3rd. And we got a special guest with us today. You guys might remember him from, what was the last time he was here? 3 years ago?
2019.
2019. This is Chad Merrill from the Hagerstown Almanac.
Hello. A lot has changed in those 3 years.
A lot has changed in the last 3 years,
yes. The world is different.
But the world is different, but not now. We're back in action. We've got guests in the studio, which
so
we love.
Nice, man. So nice.
Yeah. I missed having guests in here.
And before we get started, there's been a huge change in the Weather Talk podcast and how you guys and Chad
and
can watch
Chad
us.
is part of you guys.
Can watch us. You guys, well, you know what? Chad's here with us. How you can watch us if you have an Amazon Fire Stick, a Roku box, an Apple TV, or an Android TV. Go download the very
local app.
The very local app. It's called Very Local. If you type that into your search bar, Very Local. You can now watch us in beautiful 4K if you have a 4K TV.
Ooh.
A beautiful 4K.
I don't know if anybody wants to see us in high definition, but you can if you want to.
There's a person or two out there I'm sure wants to.
I don't know.
I don't trust them, but they're out there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You can go watch us. Not live yet.
But
you only get us live on Facebook. But if you're watching us now and you missed part of it, go home, watch us while you're eating dinner.
You can put it on your phone, too.
Yeah.
The Very Local app.
Yeah,
I have it on my phone.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, just do a search for Weather Talk when you get a chance if you want to watch this, what you're watching live at home later on TV.
Or if you tell a friend who's not a fan yet, which is bad on them.
Oh, come on. How can you not be a fan of Weather Talk yet?
You know, it's summertime. If you're having a cookout on Sunday, put us on.
Yeah.
Right.
Put us on TV.
Yes.
Anyhow, so
yes.
The traditional thing is, to say Christmas in July. We're going to do Christmas in August. We missed it by 2 days or 3 days.
3 days.
So we're going to get to the winter outlook here in just a moment in the Hagerstown Almanac. But I want you guys to know something special about our hometown almanac here in Maryland. I'm going to say this without even checking if it's true because I'm pretty sure it is. This is the only almanac in the country and maybe in the world that has a degreed meteorologist as its lead forecaster with an actual degree in meteorology.
That's impressive.
That's that guy over there.
Impressive.
That's Chad. Is that true, would you say, without checking for sure?
I believe so.
I would say,
yeah.
I'm 95% that our hometown almanac, the Hagerstown Almanac, is the only one with a degreed meteorologist. And what does that do for us? It means that Chad, when you read through here and you're looking at the forecast and stuff, is not only using the traditional methods of the almanac to do long-range forecasting, but he's also doing traditional meteorological, teleconnectional, seasonal forecast that you're not going to find in any other almanac. When you read his conjectures column, it reads like a discussion from the National Weather Service. And that's because he has a real degree in meteorology. You look very busy over there. What are you doing?
I'm putting up how they can watch us on the Very Local app.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm paying attention.
I don't need you for this section.
But you're introducing our audience to Chad, and I've met Chad.
I just was wondering what you're doing.
Gee.
I know, right?
No business.
Yeah, mind my own business.
I'm the producer and co-host. I've got a lot of hats to wear.
You have many hats. By the way, you know what I forgot to do? Remind you to get your
you did.
Your conductor's hat. Dave was going to wear his snow train conductor's hat because we're going to do the winter outlook, and I forgot. You even sent me a message and said, Remind you.
And I looked at it today when I was putting my stuff in my locker. I went, I need that. And then
you should have had that thing, man.
I got busy doing real work.
I know, right? You got another job. All right, so before we get to the winter outlook and all that fun stuff, which we're going to do, I promise, Chad, tell me about the almanac. What's in it? What's special about it maybe this year, or something that maybe sets it apart from the other almanacs? I love it, by the way. I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff in there, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we have the 2023 Hagerstown Almanac, which is available for purchase now. And over the past couple of years, we've actually gained some partnerships, and you can see some of those articles in the Almanac. We've partnered with the Penn State Agricultural Extension Office in Pennsylvania.
Really?
And they provide some really good content for farmers and gardeners alike.
Sweet.
So they've actually provided some content in the Hagerstown Almanac in the 2022 version and the 2023 version as well.
So there's a reason other than the weather forecast.
Exactly. Yeah, there's some really good information that they've provided, pesticide management and how to prevent accidents on farms and so forth and so on. We've also partnered with Dr. Simon Lee, who is a stratospheric meteorologist, and he is a professor. Now, he came from the UK. He's a professor now at
I know
Columbia
that name
University.
from somewhere. I know that name. Okay. So he's a professor at Columbia now.
Columbia, yeah.
And what is he doing with you guys?
Well, what he's doing is providing some information in terms of letting people know what the polar vortex is and some myths about the polar vortex.
Oh, that's right. I saw that in here. I meant to read that. I didn't read. Yeah, there's an article in here on the polar vortex. Which sounds scary because I don't know when that started. Maybe you remember. It started in the media. Maybe it was NBC. I don't know. Read something from a meteorologist that posted polar vortex, and it sounded really scary.
Sounds great.
And it sounds scary, you know. And they started talking about it on TV. The polar vortex is coming, like it was a Godzilla movie, you know.
Right. The end of the world coming.
Yeah, but you know that's a term that we've used for forever in meteorology, and I'm grateful that you guys put something in here too, so people can read and just real quick. Don't give it away. The polar vortex. What is that?
Yeah, so there's some information regarding the interview I had with Dr. Lee in the 2023 Almanac. So there's a lot of great, useful information, not just the weather forecast.
Great.
And sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, you know, some of the
all that stuff.
Astronomy data. But
it's really cool, honestly. I'm not just saying that because he's here. It is a really good read.
No, we've definitely referred to this.
There's a lot of stuff in here that's really cool.
Yeah.
So one thing that I wanted to hit on,
yes,
I don't know if you remember years and years ago, we had somebody from the Hagerstown Almanac, and it wasn't Chad.
Yeah.
It was somebody else, like right when we first started.
William O'Toole, probably.
Yes, William O'Toole, yes.
I took his place as the weather prognosticator for the
Almanac. We had him on.
Congratulations.
Yes. But he was very guarded and hesitant about giving away the secrets of the long-range forecasting. But I opened it up, and right next to Chad's section here on the long-range forecasting, the meteorology and all that stuff, there's a section over here that talks about a little bit on how the Almanac does its forecasting. And it's basically done, I need my thick glasses for this one.
Jiminy Christmas.
I know, right? There. By the phases of the moon, and I'll just read the first one. It says, the nearer the time of the moon's change from the first quarter full and last quarter are to midnight, the fairer the weather will be during the next 7 days. So basically, you're looking at the phases of the moon, how close they are to midnight and noon, and then you can conjecture out from that point and say the weather is going to be nice or bad, rainy or snowy, up through probably the next couple of years, right? Is this part of it?
That's part
Explain
of it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's part of the forecasting. And there was a scientist back in the 1700s or early 1800s called William Herschel who developed that chart called the Herschel chart. And he basically took observations of the weather. I'm not exactly sure where.
This is based on hundreds of years of observations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he determined that based on the phase of the moon, first, last quarter, full moon, or new moon, that this type of weather happened. So this is basically archived weather data from back in the 1800s that helped develop this chart.
You know, it's interesting. We often say in our business, correlation is not causation.
Yes.
You've heard me say that.
Yeah,
You've looked at me crazy before when I said that.
The first time you said that, I was like, what?
But there certainly is a correlation, if you look back in the data, to these moon phases and where they hit according to midnight. And
yeah, there is a bit of
there's a lot of data that correlates that, but is it really the causation? As a meteorologist, when you first read that, what was your, this doesn't make any sense, or what was your first opinion of it?
My first opinion was, let me see how it compares to recent data, because this chart was produced back in the 1800s.
Right.
Has climate change really shifted things around?
Well, things have obviously things have shifted, but but that's the first thing you did was to look at new data to see if
to see if there was verification to it.
Yeah.
This chart that was produced by this guy who just wrote down
That's why you have a meteorologist in the Hagerstown Almanac.
Real fast, we're getting a lot of questions. How can they get the Almanac? Where can they get it?
Very good question. So the 2023 Hagerstown Almanac is available on our website. You can purchase it through Almanack. That is Almanac with a K at the end.
Yeah, because a lot of them spell it with a C.
Yeah, exactly. Almanac with a K.com. And from there, you can purchase the 2023 Hagerstown Town and Country Almanac. It's also available in a few stores. across
you can still go
Maryland.
to a store and buy. I mean, that's real
Yeah.
old school, isn't it?
I still go to Barnes & Noble.
Do you really? I love going to books. Nobody goes to
too.
bookstores anymore,
I
and
all
I
the
can't
time.
find them. I think there's like
Absolutely.
one in Maryland
Yeah.
left, and I go there all the time. I love it.
There's one in Harvard, or not Harvard, in Harvard, and Havre de Grace called Washington Books.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
going
so
to
just
bookstores.
some smaller stores.
Yeah.
And the list of stores that it's available is on our website, almanac.com.
ALMANAK?
ALMANACK.com.
ACK. Okay.
You should
Put
follow
it up
them
on
on
the-
Twitter too. I follow Chad on Twitter.
Yeah, we have a Twitter account as well.
It's really got some cool information on there. You don't only post weather stuff, but you're doing like history stuff. I love the history stuff that you
Yeah,
guys post.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
really cool. Any other questions, comments, concerns there, young man?
Hang on. I'm getting okay. I put the link up on.
Oh, you did.
Oh,
Good.
you
chat,
did
on
for
the chat, so-
almanac.com?
Yep,
Excellent.
almanac.com. It's up there.
Yep.
A lot of people want to know where they get it from. So there you go. It's up on the chat. Click on it, and it'll
Sweet.
take you right there. It's actually
Yep.
got a little graphic too. It looks real cool.
Nice.
There we go.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
See, he's not just a pretty face. He actually does stuff.
I do.
He
I
does
work.
stuff. All right, so let's
Jack
get
of all
into
trades.
let's
Yes.
get into the meat of this here. Before we get to the winter outlook, let's talk about the tropics because
Yeah.
we're in the middle of the beginning of August. We're in the middle of the summer, and so far this year there have only been 3 named storms. Colin was the last one, and it's been over a month, which is very unusual. We haven't had a tropical system develop.
Been very quiet.
It's
Yeah.
been very quiet.
Now is this going to kick our butts in a month or so? Or
That's what I'm going to ask Chad.
Oh, there we go.
See
There
if
we
our
go.
butt is sticking out for it to be kicked.
Hey, we need to watch ourselves.
But up until this point, I think this has only happened like 3 or 4 times in history that month, from the beginning of July to the beginning of August with no tropical activity. So it is very unusual.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is suppressing it right now? The Saharan dust, would you say? Or what's your opinion on that?
The Saharan dust and a lot of dry air that's over the Atlantic because the sea surface temperature anomalies, what's called the MDR, which is the main development region where
Yep.
storms develop, the water is sufficiently warm enough and the
Oh,
Gulf
yeah.
is sufficiently warm enough. It's this dry air that's keeping these waves off the coast of Africa, which typically the hurricane season starts to rev up along the coast of Africa.
At
with
the
these
beginning of
waves.
the hurricane season, we look close in, like the Gulf of Mexico
Yeah,
or the
exactly.
southeast coast for development of tropical storms. But now
We're
we
later
start
in
to
the
look at
season.
the coast of Africa.
Okay.
And these big monster storm complexes come off the coast of Africa.
Now-
and then they travel out into the water, and those are the ones that become the hurricanes.
The Saharan dust is actually dust from the Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
No, it's a
clarifying.
great. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, so
go ahead.
that dust basically impedes development of showers and storms over the ocean.
wow.
So
Yeah.
storms
Isn't
can
that
start
cool?
to develop,
Yeah.
but then this dry air comes in and it just disappears.
And there's computer modeling now that you can look at online that shows you not only where this dust plume is, but
Yeah.
it even conjectures out to where it might be or what it's going to be in the next couple
Oh,
of
wow.
weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, the modeling has gotten so sophisticated now
it really has.
that you can forecast Saharan dust.
I thought it was amazing that one time you said, "Oh, there's something on the radar," but those are probably bugs.
Yeah, I mean,
That blew me
Oh
away. This
yeah,
is like 3 years ago.
on
Yeah.
local radars, you can see
Yeah.
bugs migrating. You can see wind turbines blowing.
isn't that wild?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All kinds of stuff,
You
man.
can
That's
see
cool.
the Blue Ridge Mountains, the
Really?
echoes hitting off the
Oh,
Blue Ridge
cool.
Mountains in the evening.
Yeah,
very cool.
The radar is so sophisticated now, and the bugs show up every once in a while, and it looks like aliens or something. You and I would go.
Oh yeah, we were. I think that's how this
Yeah.
came up. You're like, "Oh, there's something."
Dave and I
out there,
talk
but
about
there's
aliens
no-
a lot on the show. So
Yes, we're obsessed. I think.
I'm
at
going to
this
ask
point.
him at the end what he thinks would happen if they landed on the White House lawn. Because I'm going to ask every one of our
Okay.
guests from now on.
I like that.
What do you
Okay.
think would happen if the aliens landed on the White House lawn and said hello? So I'll save that for later.
And one of our guests is gonna be like, "Well, we'll let you know when it happens when we get there."
When we get there,
Yeah.
Because aliens are watching us right now.
Well, no, one of our guests is going to be an alien. That's what I'm saying.
That's
You're
what
gonna-
I'm saying. You
you're
know
gonna
they're watching us right
You're
now.
going to ask the question, and the guest is going to be like, "Well, I'll let you know when we get to the White House lawn."
And we got Martians watching us
And
right
then we
now.
get zapped, and we're done.
That started in the 80s with ET, right?
What?
Yeah.
ET?
phone home?
Yeah.
ET, oh, yeah. The close
ET
encounters
was
of the third
great.
kind, yeah.
All right, so we're off track here. So we're
Shocking.
never off track with aliens, though.
No,
with us.
no, it's a different
Anyhow, so
track.
Chad,
All right, so yeah, the tropics.
the tropics. Right now it's quiet. The peak of hurricane season is until September. A lot of people don't know that. So we're getting into the meat of it. But initially, the forecast from NOAA was for a very active hurricane season. I think they put out 17 or 18, right?
Yeah, named storms.
Named
and
storms.
3 or 4 major hurricanes.
So 14 is normal, right? So we've only got 3. So the tropics are going to have to really come
yeah,
alive
kick it up, guys.
for us to even get to normal this year. What are your thoughts?
I think it'll reverse at the end of the month, at the end of August, and then into September.
Okay.
Now, whether we catch up
to 14 or not.
14, but at least it's going to be, I think it's going to be fairly active during that period.
That's what you wrote in here. Yeah, yeah. And you obviously the dust is going to settle, so to speak.
Yeah.
And like you said, the water is warm.
Right.
So all of his players are on the stage for it to happen once the dust goes away.
Right, and we could have multiple storms in the Atlantic at once. That's not saying that Baltimore is going to get hit by a Category 5 hurricane.
Of course.
But yeah, I think that it will pick up towards the end of the month. I think that the dust will relax, and it has to do with the MJO phase, has to be in the right phase.
I think it's phase 2, right? The MJO?
Phase 2 for Atlantic development.
Yeah, and it's not there yet. It's like 3, 4, something like that, I think.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
I don't think it's a very strong.
And it's not a strong signal either.
Yeah, not a strong signal. So I think things will change at the end of August and going into September and October.
That's your favorite Madden-Julian oscillation.
I love the Madden-Julian. We got a couple questions real fast.
Sure.
Okay.
First from Laura, is there a month that tends to be the most active during hurricane season?
September.
Okay, so we've got it coming up. Right, so that leads into the end of the month. And then Kelly, does NOAA update their forecast for hurricanes?
They are going to do it tomorrow.
Oh,
as a
there you
matter of
go.
fact, yes.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you get
Question,
that
guys,
email
both of you.
from Sterling?
Ladies.
Okay.
Yeah, they just sent the email.
Okay.
They're going to put out a new forecast based on all this stuff that Chad is talking about.
Cool.
Tomorrow, and I doubt if it's going to be as high as they initially conjectured.
Yeah, they probably lower the numbers a little bit. I don't think there would be a significant reduction in the number of tropical storms and hurricanes.
What did they predict?
Like I said, it was a 17 or 18,
okay.
and normal is 14. So maybe they drop it back a couple.
Okay.
Maybe 15, my guess.
Something like
probably.
that. I would be surprised if they make a drastic change to their initial projection. But the tropics are really going to have to get cooking for us to catch up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be
A lot.
intense.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could be an intense month from the end of August, like Chad said, through September with the peak of hurricanes. It could be really.
It's great news for the resort towns.
How is that good news for the resort towns?
Well, that it's not going to hit until the end of the month.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like you want to go there and watch hurricanes like you did at Ocean City.
I tell you what, it was the best body surfing I've had in years the last year after that. But yeah, you go the entire summer without a hurricane.
Yes, that is good for the
resort
coastal
towns.
areas. Yeah. So that's what we think about the tropics. Just off the top of your head, your conjecture locally here for the rest of August. Above normal temperatures, below normal temperatures. I know the short range or the medium range modeling has a nice trough on the East Coast or in the middle of the month, which would equate to cooler than normal temperatures here eventually by the middle of the month. Do you agree with that, or?
I think there will be some cooling after the middle of the month. I think we will have some days leading up through the middle of August where we have heat advisory criteria with dew points and temperatures allowing the heat index to get over 100.
Well, you nailed today, and you put that forecast out like over a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
If you look in the almanac and you look at the forecast for today, what did you say? Hot, above normal temperatures for this week with a heat index something like 100. And that's exactly what's going to happen this week. And you put that forecast out over a year ago.
Yeah,
how about that?
That's
dry,
impressive.
warm, and humid.
There you go.
And I will say this. Last month, July, I had indicated severe thunderstorms in the mid-Atlantic July 14th. And remember the outbreak we had on Tuesday the 12th?
The 12th. It was right in that neighborhood. It was close. But again, remember, he's putting this forecast out a year in advance. Isn't that? I mean,
bravo.
A lot of people make fun of the almanacs and stuff. When he writes this stuff, I'm on it.
You need to buy the almanac so you can plan your vacation.
I would. This is the only one I would buy to, and I'm not just saying that because he's here. This is the only one that I would I would buy and try to make a long range plan in that way.
Okay, well we've got a
okay. Go ahead,
Angie says she wants snow. When is the first snowfall?
Okay,
Chad?
so we're gonna get there. So let's talk about it, Chad. This is what they want.
They're
done with this heat. It has been exceptionally warm.
Yes, it has. It's been hot.
Yeah, I do think that August will be above average for temperatures, even though we're gonna have some cooler days towards the second half of the month. I think rainfall will be near to slightly above average across the region
for this month.
What's
August,
average?
Yeah, for August. I think we have a dry fall though. Even though we're gonna have an active hurricane season, is going to become active. That doesn't necessarily mean
that they're going to come here. Yeah,
exactly. Nope. I think a lot of the moisture will miss the mid-Atlantic, and we actually rely on those tropical systems to at least bring some rain during September and October, because traditionally, without tropical systems, cold fronts don't bring as much rain.
And to back you up, the long-range Euro ensembles actually have, their 30-day precipitation outlook going into 60 days out. It goes, has almost all the precipitation in the southeast U.S. and along the Gulf Coast, and very little for us. So that backs you up on a forecast that he did over a year ago.
Impressive. What is the average rainfall for August?
What is it? It's a little over between 3 and 4 inches.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact
rain.
number.
That's not a lot of rain, man.
No, it's not. But I mean, last month at BWI, and it's really hard because our official recording station is BWI.
Yes.
And as
right.
George Carlin said, nobody lives at the airport.
Nope, yep.
So, there were 6 inches of rain in July at BWI, but there were a lot of places. Like I went to play golf out in Frederick County, and I was where was I at? I was in Mount Airy at Rattlewood Golf Course. It was dry as a bone there.
Yeah.
And they were like praying for rain.
Yeah, exactly.
So all the storms have missed that part of the area, but they hit BWI. So,
as a matter of fact, if you go out to western Maryland, and there is a rain shadow effect just east of the Alleghenies in Allegheny County and those adjacent counties in West Virginia.
Are they in a drought situation yet, or is it close?
It's not a drought, but well, now they've had some rain, but a couple weeks ago, if you were to travel from D.C. up towards Cumberland, you would see a stretch of Interstate 68 near Flintstone, where it looks like they haven't had rain in like 3 months.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's just the nature of rain in the summer.
In the summer,
really
you get the hit and miss storms. And
Sure.
So they hit BWI, but they didn't hit, the golf course.
That's why people complain. Oh, they said it's going to rain. Well, it didn't rain at my house. Well, maybe it rained a mile
away from your house. Exactly.
Jeez.
That's part of summer forecast. You guys have to realize that.
Yes.
It's really
we
hit
say
and miss.
scattered thunderstorms, and if it doesn't rain at your house, you go, oh, they were wrong. Well, like Dave said, get in your car and drive 5 miles, and we were right.
We were wrong at your house, but the guy down the street, we were right for him.
Exactly. So going into September and October, setting up the winter, you see a drier pattern overall.
Yeah, I do see a drier pattern developing this fall. Unfortunately, I think that will reflect a little bit on the fall foliage.
Oh, I read that too. Yeah, explain that. Yeah.
So yeah, dry weather puts stress on the trees. Even though we've had a very wet summer, and that's good for agricultural interests now, I do think that the dry fall will put some stress on the trees, and that will create limited amounts of
so the colors may not be as vibrant if it does turn out drier than normal.
Exactly, yeah. So that's what I see for the fall season. And then I do think once we get into late October is when we get our freeze, early
First
November.
freeze, late October, which is
pretty
close to normal.
average. Yeah, I don't see anything deviating too much in terms of the first freeze in the Baltimore area. And then I think once we get into November, we get these fronts that come through, and we get some windy conditions, which we typically do have anyways. I don't really see much of a upside. I don't see any upside risk to snow in November. I do see these fronts coming through, dropping temperatures.
So no white Thanksgiving this year?
Probably not.
Why not?
We're going to say it. That Chad Merrill forecasted a white Thanksgiving. Even if he
absolutely said it. Is there?
He said it. Did he say it? I think he said it.
I heard him say it.
I heard him say it too.
Heard him say it.
No, he didn't say it.
One of the columns that Tony had pointed out is the conjectures column.
Read it. Trust me, it's really good. If you're a weather geek and you want to hear about the teleconnections and the QBO and the Indian dipole and all that kind of stuff, read his column. It's outstanding.
And what I tried to do this year with the conjectures column is take a look at some specific forecasts for different holidays in 2023.
I saw that.
Cool.
So
very cool.
We talked about Christmas first.
Yeah.
So let's set this up going into the beginning of winter, because one of the things he said in the conjecturers column is that we're kind of setting up, at least nationwide, for a December that is much colder than it was last year.
Yeah, right. Much colder. Not saying it's going to be colder than normal, but it'll be a lot different than last year.
It'll be closer to maybe a normal December.
If you remember this past December.
I know, it was awful. If you're a snow fan, it was awful.
It's brutal.
So what is your thought process on coming up with that answer that at least the beginning of the winter might be closer to normal temperature-wise, not just here, but in general around the country? What was your thought process on that?
Well, when I looked at sunspot activity, the sunspot activity is actually increasing pretty significantly right now.
And that's a great teleconnection that a lot of people are just learning about and studying how the sunspot activity affects seasonal cycles and climate and that kind of stuff. There's I mean, the sun is the source of all energy.
Yeah.
It drives the weather around the planet. So you would make an assumption if something changes on the sun, something's going to change down here. I think that's a reasonable assumption. So anyhow, sunspot activity goes up.
Yeah.
So you correlate that with perhaps a colder start or a more normal start to the winter.
Also, there's an indication that, and we talked about the polar vortex a couple minutes ago, but there are seasonal forecasts that actually predict the wind strength at 60 millibars, which is up in the stratosphere, and the strength of the winds in the stratosphere dictate the strength of the polar vortex, which is up in the stratosphere, which is above where the weather occurs. So there's some indication that it will start out weaker than average in the winter.
The polar vortex is going to be weak, man.
And when it's
no one likes a polar vortex.
And when it's weaker,
No
you
one
usually
likes
get
that.
these dips in the jet stream.
But this is better. Let him
Is it
finish.
better? Oh, I'm sorry, Chad. Continue. Well,
So say that again.
What we want. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The polar vortex
A weak polar vortex gives us.
gives us go ahead.
typically brings colder air down from the poles. And as
There we
you'll
go.
read in this column that's in the Almanac, that's not true 100% of the time. But that's one of the contributing factors, I believe, for December.
being a little closer to average.
Yeah, and having at least some flurries
Or
in
something.
the Baltimore area.
You know
Yeah.
what? Flurries. I like flurries.
Flurries are
good.
nice, but that's not what I want to hear. You know what I
You
want to
want,
hear.
yeah, you want the crippling
You know
snow,
what
right?
you know what I want to hear.
Crippling snow.
So-
oh, I like that.
I'm going to put you on the hook
crippling
here.
snow.
Okay, based on everything that you've said and I've read in your conjectures column, if you were to put a probability,
Yes, probability.
and on a normal year for Baltimore, it's like a 10 or 15% chance that you'd have a white Christmas. Climatologically speaking, it's about 10% or 15%.
Yeah.
Would you say we are going to be above that probability for a white Christmas? In other words, are we leaning more towards a white Christmas or further away from the possibility at least?
I think Baltimore does not have a white Christmas.
Oh, turn his
Get
mic
out.
off.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Show's over. We're done.
No, go ahead. Because it's interesting that you say that because you talked about in the conjectures column that there will be some coastal storms that may produce a white Christmas out in western Maryland.
Exactly.
But
That's
not
where
in
I
Baltimore.
think-
But you're really
Oh,
shaving the
okay.
line there, buddy, this far out.
That's yeah.
No, he's forecasting the possibility of some coastal storms at the end of December, which is good for us. But
Yeah.
remember, we talked about this on the podcast a lot. If a storm track comes in 50 miles closer to the coast, then Baltimore gets the rain and not the snow. If
Yeah.
it goes 50 or 75 or 100 miles off the coast, then we get in the snow here. So Chad's really kind of drawing that fine line this
Yeah.
far out. But anyhow, so go on. You think there's a better chance for western
Maryland, yeah, especially
Than
once
Baltimore.
you get west of Route 219 to have a white Christmas. And then going through the winter, if you want me to talk about
Yes,
what
keep
I think.
going, man.
Sure.
Yes.
I do think La Nina will dominate, but I think there's some other factors as well. We mentioned the weaker polar vortex. I think that will contribute to some snowfall in January and especially February. I think that the overall pattern this winter is going to favor a couple of different storm tracks because we don't usually have one storm track that dominates the entire
Hardly ever.
3-month period.
Yeah.
I think that there will be one storm track where we have mid-Atlantic to New England coastal storms, but then I think the dominant track is going to be across the Ohio Valley into the Great Lakes.
That's not good for us.
No,
So that
not
leaves
good in one
Baltimore in the
aspect.
warm spot
Oh, there you go.
and rainfall versus
snow.
snowfall.
But
Yeah.
let me say this because that's is what you would typically expect in a La Nina winter. So this will be the third La Nina winter in a row coming up if the La Nina holds through the winter, and you expect it to, correct? Okay, so in a typical La Nina winter, you have those storm tracks that cut up through the Ohio Valley and not on the coast,
Okay.
which is not good for us. If they cut west of Baltimore, we don't get the snow. If they go east of Baltimore, we have a chance to get in the snow. Yeah. So last year was a La Nina winter, but it was not a traditional La Nina winter here in the Mid-Atlantic. We had 2 or 3 coastal storms. I don't know if you remember, Ocean City got all the snow, we missed it.
Yeah, I
and then
remember that.
Southern Maryland got a bunch of
Yeah,
snow,
that
and
was
Baltimore
grumpy.
missed it. You know,
Yeah.
remember when I was on vacation in Florida and it snowed all the
Yes.
time?
I remember because I was in the studio and one of our cameras in the studio that we have access to is Ocean City. And it was
Snowing to beat the band.
It was
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm looking out the window going, wait, what is this?
Okay, so
Yeah.
you would not expect that in a typical La Nina winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think this will be more of a traditional La Nina based on the fact that last winter was not?
So,
What's your thought process on that?
So, yeah, I do believe that the polar vortex will be weaker in the beginning of the season. That will contribute to some snow in December. I do think that there's a possibility that it could actually strengthen a bit once we get into the middle of the winter,
Okay.
which would traditionally bottle up the cold air across
up
the
top,
Arctic.
yeah.
We're also in a phase where the quasi-biennial oscillation,
The QBO.
the QBO, it was a negative phase last year, And this particular phase is usually fairly predictable in that it's a 12-month cycle where it goes from positive to negative. And there's some research that suggests when it's in a negative phase like it was last winter, that contributes to some colder outbreaks across North America.
Which is good.
Which is good, yeah.
If you're a snow fan. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, last winter, there was some cold outbreaks, especially in January, northern plains and Minnesota, et cetera. QBO will likely switch to a positive phase for this winter.
Okay, and what's the correlation there?
Usually that typically means milder temperatures.
So we have kind of conflicting signals there.
Yeah, there are some conflicting signals, yeah. So we have the La Nina pattern, which favors mild conditions and rain for this area. We have the weak polar vortex in the beginning of the season,
which would favor
snow and cold. And then the QBO that we
Okay,
mentioned.
so if you're keeping score at home,
And, yeah.
if you're keeping score at home, out of the 4 long-range teleconnection things that Chad was just talking about, 2 would point towards a milder, rainier thing, and 2 would point towards at least the possibility of some cold and snow. So you have conflicting signals.
50-50 chances of what you're saying.
And the large number of sunspots, too.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
Okay.
sunspots.
That typically does bring more snow than less sunspots in this region.
Okay,
Really?
so we got
there's
we got 3 out of 5.
Oh,
There's
I like
3
those
out of
odds.
5. Yeah.
All
So
right,
if
I'll
I
take
had to
that.
put a number on it in terms of snowfall for Baltimore, if we look at last winter, Baltimore had 14, 15
Something like
inches.
that, yeah. It was just a little bit below normal.
Yeah, and average is about
19, 20.
20.
Yeah.
This winter, I would forecast in Baltimore
Write this down.
a grand total of 14 to 18 inches of snow.
So similar, a little bit more than last year,
A
but
little bit
closer
more
to
last year.
normal.
Yeah.
Closer to average.
About last year. We're looking at last year.
So here's the thing about forecasting the total amount of snow in a winter here in the Mid-Atlantic. All it takes is one storm,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You
Exactly.
can get one coastal storm where you pick up 15 inches of snow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't snow. And we had one winter.
2016. We had the blizzard.
We had the blizzard.
Yeah.
2016.
And nothing
We had
else.
a question about that.
2016, we had the one storm. It was monster. It was the best one ever.
Big.
It was like 30 inches of snow.
Oh, it was great.
And the rest of the winter was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that was an
yeah.
above normal winter. When you
Yeah.
look back at the totals, it goes into the books as an
As
above normal
Yeah.
winter snowfall.
But it was
there was
only
only one storm.
incident.
Yes.
Yeah.
The problem we've had in the Mid-Atlantic since 2016 is what's called the Southeast Ridge. It's this high
It would
pressure
go away.
off the coast, which
We don't like that,
keeps
Dave.
Nope, don't
the
like it at
storm
all.
track. Which
sir.
Well, when we have coastal storms, it brings New England the heavy snow, and Baltimore
Not us.
misses out.
Yeah.
Just like the storm we had late in January of this year. I had forecasted that in the Almanac, but unfortunately, it was more of an
New England thing than a Mid-Atlantic
eastern,
thing.
like Pennsylvania into New Jersey. Atlantic City had one of its
Got
top 5
smoked.
snowiest winters on record.
It was like 20, 25 inches of snow in parts
Jeez.
Oh,
of the Northeast with that
Yeah.
storm. It was a great storm.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, yeah.
it was a perfect.
And we were
recipe for-
like right on.
I remember that.
Right on the edge.
It flurried maybe a little bit.
I know.
I
it flurried
remember
a little
this.
bit.
Yeah, because we're all going. And I think we talked about
Yes,
it.
we
If
did.
it just moves a little bit this way, we're going to get it, and it did not move
And
a
it didn't
little
do
bit
anything.
that
It
way.
didn't do
It
anything.
didn't.
But to forecast, the exact amount of, and that's why I hesitate to do it a lot around here, especially. To say we're going to have 15 inches or 8. It's fun to
yeah.
do, and we're going to do another one like
Oh,
we
of
always
course we are. Of course.
Guess the amount of snow.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It just with one storm, the whole thing is thrown off kilter if it happens.
Yeah.
So I do expect several wintry mix events around here.
Okay.
We start out as snow, we transition to sleet, freezing rain, and rain, with the storm track being across the Ohio Valley.
Yeah, if that Ohio Valley La Nina storm track takes hold,
Yeah.
that's what we would expect here, which
Yeah.
is not good.
Yeah.
But again, I will say this. Last year, it was a La Nina year, and that's what you would have expected a lot, and it didn't happen last winter. So maybe that teleconnection, the other ones will play out and absorb that teleconnection, so to speak.
Well, the 95-96 winter, I believe, was a La Nina winter, and we had the blizzard in January.
Really? Okay. So yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it definitely can happen where
But that was the only one.
that was.
I
yeah.
have a question. You keep saying teleconnection. What is teleconnection, guys?
Okay, so teleconnection is basically the orientation of the jet stream in the northern hemisphere.
Okay.
And how it all connects.
Okay.
And there's different parts of the teleconnection pattern. There's North Atlantic.
Okay.
There's the East Pacific Oscillation, West Pacific Oscillation.
Okay.
They're named in meteorology, and each one has specific jet stream orientation that either drives cold weather into the east or warm weather into the east.
But we've talked about this on our show before. The whole world is connected.
Oh, absolutely.
So what happens over here affects the weather over here.
In some way,
and
shape,
that's
or
why
form.
the phrase teleconnection is there, because you've heard the old phrase, a butterfly flaps his wings in Africa and we wind up with snow in Baltimore.
Or the
It's not
Saharan
quite that
dust
way,
affects
there you go. So,
hurricanes.
questions, comments, concerns from...
Yes, we do, actually. I was waiting.
Lay it on us, baby.
Yes, sir. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Nikki Green says she's buying the almanac right now.
Yay,
so
Nikki!
Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate that very much. Let's see. Keith says, I saw a winter forecast that called for above average snowfall for our region this winter. Do you see a blizzard like the one in 2016? We covered this. So.
It's possible.
I do think that the best chance for a blizzard would be across northern New Jersey area.
Like last winter.
Like last winter,
Okay,
yeah.
so
I don't see the Baltimore area having a blizzard this winter, but I do think
it
it'll...
could.
Good. You're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
we
I'm
can
trying
get
to
rid
drag Chad into our little snow pit over here. And he's trying to be so professional.
He needs to maintain credibility.
Right.
Well,
no, I'm dragging him into our pit, man.
Admittedly, I was in the first inch of snowfall contest that you had. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And last year I said December 8th.
And
it did not happen December 8th.
It happened. Okay.
When did it happen last year?
Sure. Oh, I don't even remember.
I think it was January. Wasn't
it wasn't until January 7th. I think our first snowfall.
Yeah.
Remember Lowell won and he was bragging.
Yeah, jerk.
Yeah. Lowell was bragging because he said January.
You don't get to brag if you don't get to come on our show, pal.
I have to have a chance to give it to him. So I was going to say something else, but I have to have a chance to get him.
Children watching.
Anyhow, Lowell won last year, and I was very disappointed about that.
Let's see. Hold on. Where was Keith says there's some trees already in western Maryland and Allegheny County with leaves are changing.
It's funny.
Out in Cecil.
It's funny you say that because I got a message from one of our friends on Facebook who's up in New England, meteorologist, and he said all the trees are turning early up there. And
now, what would cause this?
Drought stress.
Okay, there we go.
That's what I thought too. And
I talked about the drought actually, inhibiting a lot of the colors. But up in New England, Boston has had a very, very dry summer, and much of eastern New England's in a moderate drought.
Oh, okay.
And that actually can help the leaves change early. It doesn't mean it's going to be a vibrant fall, but it causes so much stress on the trees.
Okay.
And that's why some of the leaves are changing. And same with part of western Maryland. It's been dry. Now western Maryland's not in a drought, but it can cause some change in pigment
But
color.
you know why people are asking this, right? Because there's the old wives' tale, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That when the leaves change early and the squirrels are gathering nuts, it's going to be a cold and snowy winter.
Yeah, there it is.
That's why people are bringing this up.
Out in Garrett County, Deep Creek Lake, it's going to snow like next week, right?
Yeah, right.
They get snow real fast.
I was just
early.
out there last week, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
We were on the lake, I guess it was... I forget what day it was. The heat index was 100 here, and I was actually cold.
Really?
It's a different world out there, man.
I went last year.
2,500 feet,
Yeah, I went last year for the first time because the family rented a place out there. Like, oh, come on, just take a long weekend. It's like, okay, I haven't been out in a very long time. I'll go out. And as I'm talking to my brother and sister about this, I'm like, they go, you'll stay in this room and blah, blah, blah. And I was looking at the house online. I'm like, hey, guys, I don't see an air conditioner anywhere. This is how pampered I am. I was like, I don't see an air conditioner. And they're like, Dave, you don't need an air conditioner. It gets cold up there at night. I'm like, I don't know about this. It's August.
It really is a different world.
And they were right.
Different world.
They were right.
Yeah, you actually have to ask the realtor whenever you go purchase a home up there which homes have air conditioning because
some of them do not.
Yeah, this one did. And you know what? I slept like a baby when I was up there. Yeah.
No, okay, good.
Yeah. I had a fan running, blowing the cool air from the inside.
You don't need no stinking air conditioning.
Yes, I do. I'm a baby. I need my AC.
Before we forget, one of our loyal viewers was in the hospital. Yes. Marquise, buddy, if you're watching, glad you're out of the hospital.
Oh, I remember Marquise.
Yeah. So he was in the hospital and is probably watching now, I would guess.
Yeah, I would assume. He's always watching.
Feeling better.
But anyhow, before we wrap it up, questions, comments, concerns for Chad or you or me or anybody?
Leaves are changing in Owings Mills.
Leaves are changing in Owings Mills.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Grab the right mic here, right here. Let's see. Everyone wants snow.
Everybody wants snow. All right.
I think the hot temperature has gotten people appreciating the snow a whole lot more now.
When it's 100, everybody's I want it to snow.
Yeah, right.
And then when it's in January and it's 50 below,
the tune's going to change.
When
is it going to be summer?
Everything is relative, right? The porridge is never just right. The Three Bears. The porridge is never. All right, that's it.
That's it. Well, social media.
Okay. Find me on Twitter, Tony Pann, WBAL. Find the Hagerstown Almanac on social media. What is, do you remember the Twitter handle? Just do a search for Hagerstown Almanac.
Yeah, it's Almanac. HALMANACK.
Okay.
Is the handle for our Twitter account.
And he is Weather Talk Dave.
Weather Talk Dave. Just go to Twitter at Weather Talk Dave.
Yeah.
Weather Talk
and
Dave.
You can like our Facebook page too. Our Facebook page.
If you're brand new to this show, Weather Talk, the Weather Talk podcast on Facebook, go over there, give us a follow. You'll get updates. Also, we touched on it in the beginning of the show.
Do it again.
Very local. If you have an Amazon Fire Stick, Roku TV, Apple TV, Android TV, download the Very Local app, and you can watch us on your TV.
How cool is that?
At your convenience, as well as a ton of other great programming.
I don't know if you want us in your living room, but you can do it if you want.
Oh, you totally want us in your living room.
Okay, yeah, they want us in our.
If it's Saturday night and you've got nothing
to
going
do,
on,
you watch the Weather Talk podcast at home.
You should watch us.
Yeah, most people don't want us in their living room, though, I would guess.
I think there's a couple people.
Maybe. All right, that's good. What are we doing next week? Are you normal schedule?
Same time, same bat channel.
Okay, so 12:30 next week because I got to do the noon show. So we're going to be on next Wednesday around 12:30. Same bat time, same bat channel. Although we were on early today. All right, for Tony Pann, that's Triple D, Dust Devil Dave. That's Chad Merrill from the Hagerstown Almanac. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
The Weather Talk podcast. Chad, thanks for coming in, buddy.
Absolutely.
Have a nice day, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Bye.